Right before college placement season, I realized my fiancé had developed feelings for a rebel teen. I laid the cards on the table, cut her off completely or the engagement was over. He stayed silent the whole night, then shipped the girl abroad. At the graduation engagement gala, the rebel teen slipped back into the country, belly first, demanding he take responsibility. "I'm carrying your baby, are you going to abandon your own child?" He froze, then bolted after her. I stepped to the microphone. "Adrian, if you walk out of this engagement gala, we're done." He hesitated, but he still left. I first noticed Adrian's wandering heart on an ordinary Tuesday morning. He was grinning at his phone again, and when he said he was heading out for hot pot night, I knew the line had snapped. Chloe asked, puzzled. "Just because he wants hot pot?" "Yes." I nodded. Because Adrian knew I had ulcers in my mouth. He wasn't trying to hurt me. He simply wasn't thinking about me at all. When I filled out my college applications, I agonized for a full day, then chose the school I actually wanted. Not the one Adrian and I had promised each other. Adrian's grades weren't as good as mine. To land in the same place, I would have sacrificed points and settled for a major I hated. Luckily, at the last minute, I caught his distraction. Luckily, my lovesick brain sobered up in time. Now, at the gala, watching his back disappear, I'm nothing but relieved. Glad I made the right choice from the start. Like a boulder hanging over my head finally crashing down. The relationship I couldn't bear to quit has finally met its end. Chloe came over and hugged me. "It's okay, Serena, he didn't deserve you." I wanted to say I was fine, but my eyes reddened anyway. A little pathetic, maybe. Still within acceptable limits. I pulled myself together and started on damage control. Adrian's parents approached, apologies written across their faces. "Don't be angry, Jordan, our son crossed the line. When he comes back, we'll give him a proper scolding. She's just a homewrecker label from a broken home, we'd never let her into the Sterling family. Relax, you're the daughter-in-law we chose." I laughed until tears came. Scolding. He's their only son, believing that nonsense would make me an idiot. I inclined my head politely. "Mr. and Mrs. Sterling, congratulations on your upcoming grandchild." Their faces flushed, they quickly changed the subject. When they saw I was leaving, they still wouldn't give up. Charles caught up with me. "Jordan, once the woman delivers, we'll send her abroad. You can raise the baby." "Sorry, my maternal instincts aren't that expansive. I won't raise someone else's child, especially the other woman's." At that, Charles had nothing left to say. 1 week after the engagement gala, I finally spotted Adrian at the hospital, beside a very pregnant Raven. Both freshly 18, they looked young and striking, turning heads in the corridor. The chief of obstetrics came out personally to greet Sterling's heir. "Riley, rest assured, we'll take excellent care of the little missus." Raven blushed, but pride wouldn't let her act coy. She clapped the chief on the shoulder like a buddy. "Relax, old man, I won't be much trouble." His smile froze, yet he held his tongue. Adrian didn't correct little missus. He leaned against the wall, eyes locked on Raven's belly. My fingers curled into fists. "They're already playing house outside the estate." He left me a disaster at the gala, and a week later still hasn't texted. Turns out he's been attending prenatal checkups. I almost laughed at myself. All those months I thought I was giving him one more chance. Maybe he never needed it. I was the fool. Chloe, arm linked through mine, stormed over. "Scumbag, so this is where you've been hiding. 7 days ago you were introducing me to your parents. Today you're babysitting your mistress at her OB visit." Patients and families in the hallway swiveled to watch. Adrian's face darkened. He whipped around, his glare accusing. How dare I let Chloe run her mouth? Raven knew he'd shield her. She simply tilted her chin and enjoyed the show. Sure enough, Adrian stepped between us. "Serena, control your friend. Next insult and Sterling's legal team will educate her. And let's be clear, this was a corporate marriage, no feelings involved. Drop the wounded act." In 2 sentences, he erased every memory we shared. The onlookers nodded knowingly. Rich kids and their games. Chloe opened her mouth. I stopped her. She can't afford to fight Sterling, and I won't let her pay for my mess. I know Adrian, he never bluffs. I met his stare and smiled. "Adrian, watch your own tongue. Vance Capital keeps its lawyers sharp, too." His lips pressed thin, my public slap stung. The gala was my oversight, but Raven's innocent. Don't blame her. And if I insist on blaming her? I refused to look away. How is she innocent when she starred in the runaway groom spectacle? He studied me, then chuckled softly. Serena, give me time, I'll fix this, okay? Raven cut in. She felt zero guilt, giving me a lazy wave. Enough, Ice Princess. Relax, once the baby's born, I'm out. I'm a free spirit, diapers and lullabies aren't my thing. You'll handle all that. She draped an arm over Adrian's shoulder. I've got uncharted deserts and Arctic glacier calling. My map is the world, not a minivan and PTA meetings. Queen of my own life swagger dripping. Chloe rolled her eyes. So brave, then why play homewrecker, stab a friend, get knocked up? Because I'm free. I do what I want, love who I want. Raven fired back, shameless. I love him. Carrying our love child is my choice, no regrets. Chloe was struck speechless. Adrian kept his gaze on me, but said nothing more. He simply helped Raven walk away, steps unsteady. I left the hospital, too. Stress had thrown my cycle off, any clinic would do. I picked a different one, far from them. I met Raven the rebel teen before Adrian ever did. She was plastered at a bar, passed out on the sidewalk. I happened by, called 911, made sure she got home safe. That's how we met. I never liked her, no sense of boundaries, no moral compass, always scheming. I stopped responding to her after that. Who could have guessed she'd keep using thank you as an excuse to inch closer to Adrian? Round after round, they became buddy-buddy, heading out together practically every weekend. I once told Adrian I didn't want him getting too cozy with Raven. He only smiled. Come on, she came for you. You're the one who saved her. I'm just helping you deal with her. I don't need you to handle anything for me, I said. But turning your back on her makes you look heartless. Listening to his self-righteous logic, I couldn't be bothered to argue. If Adrian allowed her in, he'd invent 1,000 justifications, none of them negotiable for me. I went home. The night was already deep. Adrian lived in the estate next door. I spent the whole night boxing up every gift he'd ever given me, then carried the lot to his front door. Mrs. Housekeeper saw me and hurried out, trying to stop me. Miss Vance, don't act in haste. You two have known each other for years, how can some outsider compare? Mrs. Housekeeper, would you let your own daughter marry a man who has a baby on the way with another woman? I smiled as I threw the question back. If I'd known they'd already slept together, I would never have let things drag on this long. Back then I thought they'd only flirted past the line. Mrs. Housekeeper looked torn. Well, she wanted to say no parent would agree. But this was her employer's house, she couldn't speak that plainly. I turned to leave when Adrian, who'd appeared out of nowhere, called after me. That urgent? Yes. I don't do messy endings, I answered. Adrian leaned against the doorframe, his calm almost frightening. As I turned again, he stopped me once more. And your things, aren't you taking them back? In the end I stepped inside. Adrian sat on the sofa, eyes tracking me the entire time. I busied myself gathering everything I'd ever given him. The huge estate echoed with the dull thuds of mementos landing in cardboard. He suddenly asked, "Does it have to be like this?" I didn't look back, just kept working. Of course. If we're done, we cut clean. I wouldn't let Raven move in later and find traces of me, not for her discomfort, but for mine. Adrian gave a small nod, as though agreeing. He looked so unruffled, as though our breakup were nothing more than an everyday errand. Why? Why should the one who screwed up walk away so casually? A surge of resentment and unwillingness rushed through me. I jerked my head up, staring straight at him. His fine features were the same ones that had awakened every youthful feeling in me, the ones that once made me pour my whole heart out. Even now, they still stirred something low in my chest. I asked, "Will you regret the choice you made?" Adrian blinked, then laughed. Maybe. No one can predict the future. His indifferent, devil-may-care tone only fueled my fury. I strode forward and slapped him hard. Mrs. Housekeeper gasped, hands flying to her mouth. Adrian's grin only widened. He even rubbed the swollen imprint of my fingers with something close to relish. "This is the first time I've seen you lose control. Even when I walked out on our engagement gala, You only forced me to choose, always poised, always above it all. My pupils quivered. Above it all? He drew my stinging right hand toward him, voice impossibly gentle. Does it hurt? Feel any better? I yanked my hand away as though burned. Under a long, heavy silence, we both ended up with reddened eyes. As I left with that box, I glanced back. Adrian, you humiliated the Vance family. I won't let that slide. All right. Raven never moved in, contrary to my expectation. Word was she didn't want to live so close to me, afraid I'd harm her baby. Adrian bought her a condo across town. College move-in neared, and Raven started acting up again. She insisted on living near Adrian's university. As always, he obliged. He seemed to have endless patience for her. The Ivy group chat buzzed non-stop, every day another round of sarcasm aimed at Adrian and Raven. Adrian's best buddy finally tagged him. Dude, what are you thinking? You really hauling ball and chain to campus? After weeks of silence, Adrian finally typed back. She's not ball and chain. She's my child's mother, watch your mouth. The chat went dead. Jamie, someone asked when I was heading to school. I gave a vague date. No one pressed further. Instead, Raven, whom Adrian had added, unleashed a tirade at me. Why are you still clinging to him? Are you doing it on purpose? Don't you know a decent ex stays dead? My baby's almost here and you're still throwing yourself at him, desperate much. The chat froze for a beat. Then classmates tore into her, trash upbringing, homewrecker label, ungrateful wretch. Finally, class kicked her out. He also warned Adrian, stop dragging random people in here. This isn't your circus. Embarrassed, Adrian left the group himself. Only later did I learn Raven had snatched his phone while he was away and added herself. After that fiasco, Adrian came to our estate. I refused to see him. The housekeeper relayed his apology for Raven, and an explanation of the pregnancy. Supposedly Raven drugged him, and he mistook her for me. The more I heard, the sicker I felt. The day Adrian flew to campus, we crossed paths at Riverdale. Raven shielded him like a lioness over her cub. Serena, Adrian's my baby's father. Still sniffing around, want to be the other woman now? I laughed in outrage. Where did she find the nerve? Home-wrecking wannabe who trapped him with a baby, and you sling mud at me? The one without love is the outsider. You're the one barging in, she shot back, righteous as ever. Adrian pressed his lips shut, mortified by the public spectacle. Raven was pregnant. Naturally he stood on her side. An arm circled her shoulders, protective, possessive. Serena, you ended it. I'm not turning back. Quit following me, it's pathetic. Once again he sided against me in front of an audience. The last ember of childhood affection snuffed out right there. I held back tears. Get over yourself. The airport isn't your private lounge. A washed-up player thinks I'm pining, delusional much. I was flying out that day too. I spun on my heel. Behind me Adrian called, switch flights. Don't be on the same plane, better for everyone. My stride faltered for a second. Then I walked faster. I was never headed their way in the first place. My gate was southbound, the opposite direction of Adrian's. I meant it when I said clean break. Before boarding, I dialed Dad overseas. Dad, pull our investment from Sterling. Finally saw the light. He'd always warned me Adrian was no white knight. I didn't believe it back then. Only after I slammed headfirst into the brick wall did I finally wake up. Originally, Sterling and Vance capital had been evenly matched. These past few years, while Dad marched across Europe and the US opening new markets, Vance's valuation had multiplied so many times I lost count. It was no longer an opponent Sterling could even spar with. Besides, Sterling's last upgrade flopped. Without Dad's cash infusion, they would have had to file for bankruptcy already. Now the real show was about to start. 2 days after orientation, I got Adrian's call. His voice was as calm as ever, but I could taste the storm behind it. Why? We promised we'd go to the same college. Because you're not worth it. Adrian wasn't worth it. I stared down the ivy-framed walkway outside Whitman Hall and said slowly, I don't stay friends with people who betray me. He caught the meaning and his breathing turned ragged. Even if we can't be together, we're still friends. Pass. I've got no hobby of buddying up to traitors. Silence crackled on the line. Just before I ended the call, he spoke again. You know my past. I won't let my child become a love child. That shut me up. For all the sterling shine, Adrian was still a love child. He had kept a string of women in his younger days. Adrian's birth mother was only one of them. The current Mrs. Sterling had been pronounced infertile years ago, exactly why Adrian was allowed back into the family in the first place. It was absurd. You flipped cause and effect. If you don't want a love child, don't create one. I still remembered Adrian telling me he despised his reckless affairs and swore he'd never become that man. I tightened my grip on the phone. Adrian, you can't afford to lose. He had more than one love child stashed around the globe, and Evelyn felt no real warmth for Adrian either. Breaking our engagement meant declaring war on the Vance family, a war he couldn't win. Sure enough, the day Dad pulled the funding, Sterling issued a press release stripping Adrian of heir status. He even flew in another love child to stand beside him. That single gesture screamed that Adrian had been tossed aside. Raven, of course, was thrilled. She posted a photo on Instagram, Adrian hugging her and her huge belly, captioned, "It's okay, you've got me. From now on, I'm all you've got." Chloe sent me the screenshot. Is Raven brain dead? Adrian just crashed and burned and she's still grinning like it's Christmas. Maybe, love alone can fill your stomach. Raven was plain stupid. Every word she spoke bypassed her brain. Adrian called that honesty. I called it clueless arrogance. 2 weeks of rock drills later, I walked out of Whitman Hall to find her blocking the gate, holding up a cardboard sign, Wharton Serena Homewrecker. I frowned. What now? A crowd was already gathering. Mrs. Housekeeper shook her head at me. Miss, please sort this out. If a pregnant girl trips here, no one wants that liability. Got it. I filled my lungs with air and stepped up to Raven. She slammed the sign down at my feet. Finally crawled out, "Her? Homewrecker, don't be so cheap." Whispers and stares showered over me, thick with contempt and suspicion. Before her hand could land, I seized her wrist. Enjoy public humiliation? We both know which one of us stole another woman's fiancé. Serena, he loves me. Years beside him and you still couldn't chain his heart, your failure, not mine. She grew smug, learning Adrian had called me a week ago had set her off, and arguing with me was her release valve. She never begged anyone to take her home that night, even blackout drunk she'd been fine. She called my anger moral blackmail. Serena, I owe you nothing. You parked yourself on my man for years, so actually, you owe me. Hand on hip, finger pointed, she looked utterly righteous. I massaged my temples. Politeness can be such a handicap. Raven, leave. Arguing with a morally bankrupt side piece soils my day. I told you, if you can't keep a guy, don't blame the girl who can. The onlookers buzzed louder. College kids love drama. The housekeeper hovered, terrified Raven's belly might hit the pavement. I shrugged. If you're so confident, why hunt me down? Feeling insecure about his love. Raven flushed crimson, lunged to shove me, but I sidestepped. Off balance, she pitched forward, saved by a bystander who caught her arm. Bitch. You want to kill me and my baby? She howled like a fire engine siren. Then came the commotion behind us, Adrian sprinting up the path, sweat dripping from his temples. Spotting him, Raven found her stage and beat her chest, bawling theatrically. Adrian, she shoved me. She wants us dead, she's vicious. The crowd turned indignant. Hey, you were the one trying to push her. Yeah, we all saw it, stop lying. Adrian's face cycled through colors. He soothed Raven with murmurs, then turned to me, eyes conflicted. Serena, she's pregnant and hormonal. Can't you let it go? I rolled my eyes. A perfect couple of drama queens. Call it even and back off, he added wearily. Freshly stripped of heir status and buried in Taylor chaos, he looked exhausted. And if I refuse? He stared, disappointed. I know you hate me, but don't take it out on Raven. Come at me instead. He draped his jacket over her shoulders, such tenderness. Yet I remembered a night after a concert when I'd shivered in my thin tee. He kept his coat on, lecturing, "You kill the vibe dressing like that. No jacket for you, maybe next time you'll learn." I'd ended up with pneumonia, and when he visited he wore a mask because Raven might catch it if he got sick. Funny what a man will do for the woman carrying his baby. When I still didn't answer, Adrian repeated himself. What will it take for you to let Raven go? I finally snapped back to my senses. I looked at him and smiled. Then walk away from the project. Adrian's pupils shrank to pinpoints. It was the only bargaining chip he had left that could still turn his luck around. He had fought tooth and nail for it, drank until his stomach bled, just to qualify for a seat at the project's table. It was the hottest venture in tech right now, an alliance of the world's top research bodies and hungry young minds, aiming to create technology that would upend the entire industry. We both knew that if it succeeded, the payoff would be incalculable. I never thought he would say yes. I only said it to stab him where it hurt. I turned to leave, but his voice rose behind me. I agree. I spun around so fast my vision blurred. Before I knew it, my eyes were stinging. Was that how much he loved her? Enough to torch everything he still had? I walked away fast, Raven's mutters and Adrian's low soothing slipping past me like static. I couldn't absorb any of it. Tears were sliding down my cheeks in silence. I really am slow on the uptake with feelings. Only now did the full, throbbing ache of betrayal and abandonment hit me, wave after wave. It hurt, God, it hurt. That night Dad called. Sweetheart, he's out of the project. You've been moved into his slot. Okay. My voice came out muffled. Dad sighed. You sure about this? Dad, I won't regret it. Even if Adrian and I hadn't imploded, I would have gone after the project anyway. I'd only stepped aside because I'd believed we'd end up one family, and I'd bent over backward, using every Vance Capital contact to open doors for him. Looking back, I was an idiot. Sure enough, Charles soon faced the press and publicly disowned Adrian. Before, the worst had been losing heir status. He'd still kept a key executive seat. Now, he couldn't even walk through Sterling's front doors. Yet he didn't flinch. On the same day he announced that Raven had agreed to marry him, swearing they'd file the papers the minute she turned 18. Beauty over empire, an old tale. If I weren't one of the casualties, I might have applauded the romance. A few days later, I ran into Adrian on campus. He had clearly waited outside my building for ages. He looked haggard, but still hesitated before stepping up. Serena, can we talk? Nothing to say. I started past him. He caught up. I know I wronged you the other night. I glanced at him, startled. So that was what this was about. He kept his head down. But the baby's almost here. I have to take her side, even when I know she's wrong. I'm marrying Raven. I won't let my child be born a love child. I studied him. I hope you never live to regret it. Then I turned my back. If you're so responsible now, try not to get drugged by another woman and manufacture another love child. His lips parted, but no sound came. And I was already gone. After that, I never saw him or Raven on campus again. Bits of news filtered in through old classmates. They said Raven's temper flared worse after the birth, their fights constant. Adrian took a leave of absence, sank his last dollars into a startup, determined to give the kid a life. The first stretch was brutal. But the year I graduated, word was his tiny company had taken off. Even Dad grudgingly admitted the boy had character, if not character. Those 4 years, I sharpened every edge of myself. The project hit milestone after milestone. My name started to ring out in the circles that mattered. Soon the gossip blogs paired the two of us again, the almost couple that wasn't. Raven raged, lobbing slander at shadows, certain I was the puppet master. Everyone else laughed behind her hand. She'd won the ring but still couldn't hold the spotlight. 1 year after graduation, Chloe passed me fresh installments of the soap opera. Adrian was never home, so Raven allegedly made the baby sick just to drag him back. I only smiled. Then came the high school reunion. I didn't skip it just because Adrian might show. I had nothing to hide. I arrived the same minute he did. For years had turned him inside out. Every trace of boyhood was gone. He looked like a man who'd been negotiating hostile takeovers since birth. His suit was immaculate. The tie I'd once given him. Leaning back in his chair, he greeted me as if we were strangers. Long time. How have you been? Fine. I rubbed the ring on my index finger and offered a nod. The lighting was dim. I couldn't read his eyes. Yet I felt the weight of his gaze, hungry and possessive, crawling over me. Still unflappable, he hadn't blinked the day Charles locked the gates. Suddenly he asked, "Aren't you going to ask how I've been?" For no reason at all, I caught a thread of grievance in his voice. The table went awkwardly quiet. When I didn't bite, class jumped in. Okay, we all know you're riding high. Of course, Jordan. Adrian's eyes lit up. So you do keep tabs on me. Guess you're not over me yet. He hadn't touched a drop, but his words slurred like whiskey. Silence deepened. Been to a doctor? What's the prognosis? I asked sweetly. Someone snorted, crimson with suppressed laughter. Adrian stayed in his own haze, smiling at me. You curse prettier now. Cute. My chest heaved. And you've graduated to full-time creep. Just then the door swung open. A woman walked in, child in tow. I didn't recognize her until the boy hurled himself at Adrian, yelling Daddy, Raven and their son. No touching family tableau. Adrian's face shut down, weariness and irritation rolled off him in waves. Class whispered, inspection tour. Homewrecker label sticks, she's terrified someone spikes his drink and follows her playbook. Ill-gotten gains, ill-kept peace. Raven didn't seem to place me. She planted herself beside Adrian, hands on hips. What the hell? I told you I hate you hanging with these people. Have you forgotten the names they called me? She was every inch the fishwife. The reckless rebel teen had aged into something harder and meaner. Constant rage had etched itself into her face. A regular fury in heels. Adrian looked mortified, not even bothering to hush the sobbing child. His face was storm-cloud dark. Get out. The crowd of classmates froze like statues. Raven stood rooted. Adrian had grown short-tempered with her in private these past years, yet in front of others he'd always preserved her dignity. Right now he was actually. Suddenly Raven spotted me. Her eyes bulged. With claws bared she lunged. Adrian moved faster, shoving her away before she could touch me. Have you lost it? Haven't you humiliated yourself enough? Raven collapsed to the floor and wailed, caring nothing for her image. Fine, you heartless Chen Shamai. You see this vixen and want to dump me and the baby, is that it? Then she sprang up, forced the child into Adrian's arms, and screamed through her sobs, Beg Daddy, beg him not to abandon you for some old flame. Beg Auntie not to steal him, not to wreck our family. The terrified baby bawled. Adrian took the child, veins pulsing at his temples. Yet he was powerless against Raven's shamelessness. I watched, entertained. Indeed, only a hooligan could handle a poser like Adrian. For the first time I thought them a perfect match. When his eyes met my mocking gaze, Adrian burned with shame. The little boy hiccuped, Daddy, don't leave me. I don't want to be a love child. I don't want to be one like you. War. At that, many classmates burst out laughing. The kid really had a silver tongue. My mood lifted several notches. Seeing Adrian's face darken further, I took pity and lifted the child onto the sofa. Stop crying. You look like a muddy kitten. The boy gave a tear-choked hiccup. Auntie, will you steal my daddy? No. I flashed my engagement ring. Auntie already has a fiancé. I didn't look at Adrian's expression. From the corner of my eye I saw dozens of stunned faces swivel toward us. Even Raven's sobs choked off. The next second Adrian stepped forward and seized my wrist. It isn't true, right? Tell me, no. His outburst hushed every whisper. I smiled. It is true. I love him. I want to spend my life with him. He was my college mentor. A science prodigy with surprising charisma. He chased me with good morning, good night texts that never missed a day, and confessed through chemical formulas he thought anyone could understand. To show off his gaming skills he crushed me 10 times in a row. At first I actually thought he disliked me. The evening he confessed, his face glowed redder than the roses he clutched. Thinking of Miles, my lips curved. At this instant Adrian looked as if the sky had crashed onto him. He released me. His face was bloodless. You love him? Yes, I love him. The words left my mouth in a breath. Afterward Adrian fled in defeat. Raven, clutching their son, chased him. The reunion carried on. Later I heard that Adrian and Raven had a blow-up at home. Divorce papers were mentioned. But no signatures materialized. Raven deployed the triple threat of tears, tantrums, and suicide threats. Adrian had no choice but to hide in his office. That only made her storm louder. She barged into headquarters, demanding to know which woman he was hiding there. Coincidentally, I was visiting that day. In business, enemies are temporary, profit eternal. I had a deal to negotiate with Adrian. Halfway through, Raven burst in. Seeing me, she collapsed into hysteria. Her shriek could have shattered glass. "Bitch, I knew you were up to no good, throwing yourself at Shinju again." Her hair hung in rat tails, mascara streaking her face like a demon mask. She flew at me, nails aiming for my cheeks. Adrian shoved her back. "Raven, how much further are you taking this?" She sobbed and thrashed. "Protecting her now? I'm your wife, the mother of your child." Disgusted, Adrian flung her off, then turned to me, ashamed. "Sorry, Jordan. I'll fix this." I gathered my documents and exited the boardroom. Raven tried to block me, but Adrian stopped her again, handing her to security before jogging after me to offer a ride. I waved him off. "No need, my fiancé's picking me up." Downstairs, Miles was already waiting. I ran straight into his arms. He stroked my hair. "Rough day? Want to grab a bite? I want whatever you cook. Deal." Our playful banter drifted across the plaza. Neither of us noticed Adrian watching. It felt as if his heart were being ripped in half. Only then did he truly understand what I'd once felt. He swallowed the metallic taste in his throat and muttered, "So this is how it hurts." Just then Raven broke free from security. Hands on hips, she screamed across the pavement, "Slut, you've got a man yet you still sniff around mine, disgusting." Before I or Miles could react, Adrian swung and slapped her. "I've had it. We're getting divorced right now." Raven froze, her wails cut off. "What did you say?" Then she collapsed, pounding the concrete and her own chest. Heartless. Abandoning wife and child. Adrian still divorced her. Raven was cleaned out and, under Adrian's legal maneuvering, saddled with a mountain of debt. But she didn't let him walk away. In despair she rammed him with her car, then leaped from a rooftop. Adrian survived, paralyzed from the waist down. He would spend life in a wheelchair, tethered to a catheter. Worse, Raven had leaked company secrets to competitors before she died. Within months his fledgling firm was surrounded and forced to file for bankruptcy. He lost all drive, drifting in a daze day after day. He even placed the child in an orphanage. He came to my wedding with Miles. He sat alone at a table, speaking to no one. As Miles and I exchanged rings, Adrian finally broke, tears streaming. He knew he had lost utterly. His love had cracked the moment Raven appeared. He swore he'd only found her amusing, insisted she'd been just a friend. But she drugged him and destroyed his future. Because of his childhood ghosts, he couldn't abandon the baby. And so he tumbled into an abyss he could never escape. He wheeled himself away while Miles and I vowed to cherish each other for life. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this tale? If you liked the video, like and share it with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more great stories. See you next time.